record to, yeah, it's going to record to cloud, isn't it?
Mhm.
Hello, cloud. Um, okay, let me just get a. I can't find my. Oh. Okay, can you see that, everyone?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, well, welcome everyone to the first archive work group meeting of 2025. Today's the 8th of January. I'll just give a brief intro. That contains a history of the activities of the SingularityNET Ambassador Program. All content is provided under an open source Apache 2 license, and contributions will be licensed under a Creative Commons license. We do video recordings of this, which we will upload, and our goal is to provide a collaborative platform for the SingularityNET Archive community to share knowledge. We welcome contributions from anyone interested. Whether it's a new project code example or documentation. Process is to we begin a review at the beginning of each meeting on action and decision items. So shall I hand it back to you, Vanessa, for that?
No, let's take that after Gorga's presentation because he's got other things to get to.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you want to screen share? I'll stop screen sharing then, shall I? Is that a yes?
I
Okay.
need to
I'll hand.
screen share so I can present it.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Okay.
So over to Gorga.
All right. Wait a minute. Okay. Can you see my share screen? Screen share?
It's just loading. It's loaded now. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So let me start to present our work archive for group department on Roblox Studio. So I play this Roblox Studio. So first is the archive for group building has three floors. Each floor has a room, and I will explain it. Yeah, we go forward to meet Fanny near the outer door of the archive for group building. So, all right, first, where we meet Fanny, she welcome us and said, "Welcome to archive for group. I hope you enjoy and fun and interact and enjoy." So after that, we enter the room. Here starts from exploring the room on the right. On the right side on this room, and this is the RAG Retrieval Process Room. This room is provide the information about retrieval augmented generation information on archival group. So on this room there is a screen in here. So with screen we can talk with screen. We click this dialog conversation. Ahead is head. Ahead her head. So if we click screen start the conversation. Hello there, welcome to the RAG Retrieval Process Room. And there's option below left on this, and I choose this. Hello Sukrin, what is in this room? And Sukrin answer, this room is the RAG Retrieval Process Room to restrict the AI to only look at the archive corpus to answer people's questions. So I click this. All right, thank you, Sukrin. So that's the conversation between Sukrin and me. So moving on into this room. So into this room, there is a board about archive group meeting. When the archive group meeting is Wednesday on 12 UTC. So this is the main room. This is the computer. And moving on into the archive ambassador GitBook room. On this room, this room is provide information about the archive ambassador GitBook on archive workgroup. So this is the information. The welcome to a SingularityNET Archive. This is our goal. This is the documentation and ambassador GitBook and archive GitBook. So on this room, there is Kizzy in here doing something like in front of computer and said, "Hello, I'm showing some new people how to use GitBook." So on this room, this is there is an essay. We can start a conversation with essay with click the question mark on above her head. So if we click this, the conversation is shown like this. "Hello there, welcome to archive GitBook room." And we can choose the answer. "Hello essay, what's in this room?" So essay answer, "This room provide information about archive ambassador GitBook." So I can choose this answer again. Awesome, that's useful information. And essay said, "Yep, thank you, enjoy." So moving on another room. On this room is archive library. On archive library, there is Stephen as a lead of archive workgroup. So with Stephen, we can start the conversation with press E. So the conversation start from Stephen said, "Hello mate." So to continue the conversation, we can click this button and so on. Stephen conversation. "My name is Stephen and I am the workgroup lead for the archive workgroup. What's yours?" So there's an option on this below, two options. The first option is my name, set my name, and the second option, never mind and goodbye. So I choose this. So Stephen said, "That's a pretty cool name." So I continued the conversation again. "How are you?" So there's three option on the to answer Stephen questions, and I choose this. "I'm doing fine, Stephen." Wait. I choose this, and Stephen said, "Yes, sure, go on. What do you wanna ask me about?" So to continue the conversation, I'm all ears. So there's a 4 option to ask about archive workgroup. So I choose this. How to join the archive workgroup. For example, I choose this. How to join our archive workgroup. So Stephen answer for how to join the archive workgroup. "The interested person should attend meetings. You will ideally need to join our GitHub too. Ask for help in our Discord channel if needed." Anything else about this? To continue this, click this button and the conversation is end. So moving on into the next room is on the second floor. To reach the second floor, you can use these stairs to up into the second floor, and you can choose the lift teleportation. You can jump on this teleport and you can teleport into the second floor. So on this second floor, there's a room like archive summary tools. This room is provide all of workgroup or guilds archive summary meeting. After meeting and save in this archive summary tools. As you can see, this is the town hall update summary meeting. And this is the workgroup summary meeting in here and guild summary meeting in here. So on this room, there's Andre, like save the archive summary meeting on archive summary tools and said, hey there, I'm adding a new feature to the meeting summary tool and making sure the documents in the meeting summary are archived in an open source way. So on the second floor, there's another room, the room called tax management. On this tax management room, there is archive tax feature. There are dwork and GitHub. So this is the archive tags on dwork and GitHub that we can do. So on this room, there is a UBOD. Sit in front of his computer and said, hey there, I'm currently adding a new person to our GitHub and managing our GitHub project board. So moving on into the third floor, to move into the third floor, we can use the same way, like we can use the use these stairs up and use the teleport. So to use the teleport, you can jump on this teleport and you can go into the third floor using the teleport. So on this third floor, there's a 3 room. It means archive room, data room, and interactive room. So on the data room, there is a data archive saved on this room. So yeah, and the archive room, there's like a library to document the archive to the document archive. So the last room is interactive room. On this room is to provide the information about the use case LLM development. So this is the picture of use case LLM development, you can see. So on this room, there is Eki Mini. She is thinking about something and said, hey there, I'm having a thing about how to make sure we use AI ethically and what sort of questions someone might ask an AI about the archives. So on this third floor, there is Clement and Duke doing something on their computer, and Clement said, hey there, I'm currently selecting this month's best meeting summary, writing our quarterly report, and making some slides to share our work in a town hall. And Duke said, hey there, I'm currently collecting some info about how we govern ourselves and trying to work out whether an AI can apply human-made text. So yeah, this is my presentation about the archive workgroup department. If anyone have question, feel free. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Gorga. Does anyone have any questions for Gorga?
Not questions. No, I mean, it looks great and yeah, really engaging. I'm just thinking that maybe some of the things that are in there are stuff that we kind of did for 1 quarter and then we didn't continue with. So I don't know if maybe that would need a tweak, like the meeting summaries. And I'm also thinking that maybe who is allocated to what bit of work might, it could be slightly better. But I think it's great, yeah.
Yeah, but I just made we just made like the archive summary tools room be according to information on Google Docs. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting, particularly this year. It may complement some of the work we're doing on RAG because we are maybe moving to a more spatial view of data. So this kind of may complement that. The idea of different rooms and navigating that it may complement a multi-dimensional look at data, which is very much a kind of a much more towards the AI look of data rather than the flat file data. So I think that's great. Any
Yeah,
other
thank you.
any other feedback or comments?
Yeah, I was just wondering, like in the rooms, say like you've got the archive room, does that integrate with the actual archive GitBook so that people can look at it while they're in that room? Because I'm just thinking it'd be cool if it does, it'd be quite cool to integrate things like the dashboard and the docs management tool and stuff, like the more recent tooling that we've built.
Oh, all right. I will tell Kateri about the archive room, so, because she working on this room.
Another thing I noticed, which would be it looks like it is if we build on it as a particularly useful, is where you have a questions, and this is similar to input for you sometimes see it in generative queries. So, and you have a sort of like similar thing there where you ask a question, and then you have options to what to ask. I think you showed that kind of in about the middle of your presentation. And that's a good way to guide people into a context like the archive, or it could be any work group. So the question you ask is, what can I know about the archive work group? And then you're given a series of options because not everyone knows what to ask or what information is available. So that's good as well. It's a good way to think about how to introduce people to a particular subject.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen, for the feedback. Appreciate it.
Okay, shall we move on to the project board now,
Oh,
or is there any other questions or feedback?
all right. So I stop the share screen.
Yeah, thank you, Gilga. And
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
that was
Thanks a lot,
great.
Gorga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Vanny,
Do you
do you
want to
want
go
to do?
to action items and decisions before we get to the board?
Yeah. Do you want to share your screen for that?
I can. All right. Okay, so I think I've got everyone who's here at this meeting, and I've got today's GitHub issue. Just to run through the decisions from the last meeting, a lot of them can just be deleted. We talked about how Andre has implemented a controlled vocab for people's names, and I have to say I am finding it so useful not to have to correct the way that people have written people's names in a summary, and it means that we will actually be able to get reliable kind of queries on things like how many meetings did so and so go to, was so and so at such a meeting. So I think that's bloody brilliant. Um, we noted that our Q1 2025 budget has been approved and that the budget cap process worked well, so that can come off. We noted that we were unable to afford to include in our Q1 budget an item to support collaboration outside the ambassador program and kind of supporting other, maybe spin-offs or whatever else with their record keeping. That would have taken us over the budget cap, so we decided and noted that we will try to include it in Q2. But yeah, that's said and done, so we can take it off. We agreed that our first meeting will be today, so that can come off. We also had quite a neat update from Stephen about the work that he's been doing, so that's documented now. And we talked about the summary tool redesign and kind of how we organize data and how we kind of, whether we should try and disambiguate the kind of long chunks of free text. So we can take that off because it's been discussed, but I'm sure it will be discussed further again. And we looked at the idea of, with the summary tool redesign, linking and integrating summaries with GitHub project boards. And I guess that is something that Andre may happen or may not, but it's documented as something we might want to look at. We also documented the building of the dashboard, and we noted that Sucre has updated the Ambassador's GitBook for the last quarter, and that's been sorted and paid now. So action items. I was to approach Deep Funding to ask about documenting Deep Funding Town Hall and whether they can contribute to it. I haven't done that yet, so I am gonna just give that a later date. I was to add the tasks in the Q1 budget to the GitHub board, which is done. And Andre or Sucre, I don't know who did it, but somebody's done it, was to update the calendar to add the correct dates. So I think it was you, Andre, was it?
Yeah, I did it end of last year.
Cool. Right, so that's all the action items and decisions from the last meeting, and we can crack on.
Okay, thanks, Vanny. Let's go back to that's a great update of all the actions and items. Let's go back to the project board, and can people see that?
Yep.
Okay, great. Let's have a look. My screen. I'm just going to alter my screen a little bit. Kind of a no, maybe not. Trying to. Yeah, I'm right down in the wrong place here. Let's go to in progress. Okay, let's see how to order this. Would you mind, Andre, if I start with my issues and then move on to your issues?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's
good.
fine. Okay, I'll just be brief. I can start with the open source AI workflow. I do apologize for the name of some of these issues. They may be a bit, we sometimes struggle with how to describe what we're doing. This issue is mainly to do with the didactic and educational part of what we're developing in AI. So that explains that here. It does refer to SQL database searches. I'll explain a bit more how we're moving on in the next issue on that. For this one, I'm preparing, this is like a teaser, I'm preparing a presentation on called Stormarker's Concept of Context and its relevance to AI. Richard Stormarker is a philosopher who, well, he was in formal semantics and pragmatics. And the reason why I'm looking at this is to give we're not just simply building a RAG process. We're building a process which will contextualize the data that we are using in a way that is responsible and attends to the community, and that has a relevance to AI ethics. So I'll just put that, but I'll document that further, and hopefully we do a presentation maybe at a future town hall. The other thing, okay, LNM development. Again, the wording of this is a bit maybe a bit misleading. What the last update on this, we found that it's very easy to take a snapshot of SQL data or flat file data. I think Ubio did this and other people did this, and then just feed it into LangChain, and LangChain does a raw interpretation of that. And what happens if you do that is that it just treats it. There's no guide to the semantic query, so you get a lot of hallucinations, and you get a lot of you don't get any meaningful, you don't get any focused context. So there's all those sort of problems. So what we discussed last time, or what I mentioned last time, was that assessing how to structure the data in the archive workgroup first to prepare it for interfacing with generative AI. And I mentioned SQL type approach. That is really maybe slightly misleading, because what we're moving towards now is a graph databases. And I'll just do a quick, very brief demo of that. So to recap, this is what our data looks like, or a sample of our data. It's like a very simple snapshot of meeting summaries, like just 3 elements, like so a flat file database, which export into CSV format, but it could be JSON. So meeting date, work group and status, like, you know, has this been done, when it was done, that kind of thing. So this would, previously we would have taken this and just fed it into LangChain. So that doesn't really give you any context. It doesn't give you any dimensionality to the data. So what you do with graph database, you take this data and you bring it to a, well, first of all, is free instance. So you create an instance in the cloud. Again, the reason why you do this is scalability, so that you could, you know, if you have a large data set, you can import your own data, but then you can reference other data. It's like you can plug in large generative models, which then can interface with this. So the import would be import from in this case an import from a CSV file, but it can also interface with other sources like graph sources or you know, direct data feeds. So in this case, I took that CSV and it comes into, it's imported into what are called nodes and edges. Now, a node is how can I put it? It's an entity, a data entity, which can have various constraints and indices. It's unlike a data in an SQL database. It is multidimensional, so it can have many properties. In this case, it's just mapped to the flat file. So in this case, it's one dimensional. Then you have, you know, so you have the status and the work group. Now that's the imported data, and then you can then design relations, or not the edges. This is an edge from one entity to another entity. In this case, it has status. So these are, so once you take the base data, you can then supplement it with your own conceptual scheme. So this is the data, and this is what it'll look like in this will load. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so there's the data in once it's loaded into its dimensional view. So here you have, you know, the edges in relation to the nodes. And what you would do, you would take the flat file data and you'd use this as a way to design this would be like, this is just the base, and then you would design a conceptual framework around this. So this will allow us to take the archive database or data that we're doing, like from Andre and Vanessa and all the others who are putting meeting summaries, take that data and then say, okay, what sort of questions do we want to ask of this data? And then we structure that into different contexts and different things that go on top of this layer. So that's really it. Also, this data can be further refined and queried. So I'll just go into that. So that's I think I documented, by the way, here in the issue, if anyone wants to look in more detail here. Okay, moving to Andre. So the first issue here for processing payments.
That's just me creating DWork.
Okay.
DWork
Shall I
docs
just,
for
is
all the yeah.
Okay, shall I just move on from there then?
Yeah.
Or, okay. Then the next one is, sorry, yeah, meeting tool redesign for Q1.
Okay. So date yesterday, Benny added a bunch of new I've approved all those names in the database. So when you start typing a person's name, the new version should pop up. When you type someone's name in the tool, the new version should pop up. The other thing I need to do here, I've done that now, but obviously this process will see how it goes. We'll prove these. I don't know if we want to do it every meeting or every second meeting, but obviously we need might have to design something to just make that process a little smoother. But I'll need to go and change those names in the database. So they have been recorded. There's different versions that they have to fix all those versions so that they all are the same across all meetings so that we get accurate data.
Do you mean that a user can
I'll update that issue.
Sorry, do you mean that a user can update the name on the dashboard?
Not
Yes,
unless
yeah,
it's
so
approved, though.
yeah. But also the old names, just different version, single name. I need to go take all those different versions and change them to the new versions that we have, so that the dashboard that we've created gives accurate data. So if you search for a person, then you get that single person.
Great, got you. Okay.
If you search a person, it's going to be 5 different versions of that person. So I just need to go fix that. So I'll update that in the issue. Then we can move on to the next.
Yep. Okay, the next one is January. Just
Yeah. So this one, if you scroll down, there was a bug. I know Next.js has this caching, that it's something that's caching, but what I noticed was if you load the dashboard, it doesn't show the new summaries that adds. So it only showed the summaries on up until the day of the deployment. So if the tool wasn't deployed, it didn't pick up any new summaries. It was a caching thing. So I had to fix that bug so it's always up to date. It always shows all the summaries. So that's fixed. And then I also, I wanted to write a script for this, but I think it was actually faster to just quickly create all the folders for 2025. So this menu, and it's important that the folders, the week folders, are correct. So I just created all the week folders. So if the folders aren't correct, the menu has a bug. I can't remember what happens, but if the folder is not there, something happens. But if it's correct, then it all works. So that's something I still need to. So one small thing, you only have to do it once a year.
So you have to manually create that in the GitBook side?
Yeah, on the the thing.
And you can't do that on the GitHub side.
I did actually. I did some of it in GitBook and some of it in GitHub.
Right. Okay.
But
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
So once a year thing. So yes.
Yeah, a bit of a chore though.
Yeah.
Okay. And the caching bug was that resolved by forcing a refresh of the interface. It was just
I actually went and changed some code to I think if you scroll you might see it. If you check the main branch, you click on the main branch, that output main branch. This is the Oracle, it's the other one. It's the
okay. Development branch. Okay. Yeah. Oh no, maybe.
No, the dashboard. So there's two tools, the summary tool and the dashboard. So the dashboard, yes.
Okay.
So one of these, yeah.
Okay, this one. Okay. Okay, I see. It's actually settings for. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cache control. Right, got you. Thanks for that.
So
That's good.
it used
And
to cache and then it never updated.
okay, yeah,
So it does actually, it caches, it refreshes every day. That's why it said cache for 24 hours. So
right.
it's faster when it caches, but
Cool.
at least now it refreshes.
Cool. Okay.
It's up to date.
Okay, thanks for that update, Andre. Let's see. Sorry, is there anything else I need to cover? Or
I think that
got your payments,
yeah,
got your media summary design and tool development, yeah?
yeah.
So, and we are fine on the statuses here, the assignees and the tagging and everything. So that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to work group sync calls.
Yes,
Danny.
it's just something that I thought it would be a good idea for most work groups to do. For anybody who doesn't know what the work group sync calls are, they are like a monthly get together where we can discuss things that affect all work groups or, any issues that cross work group boundaries. So they're at the end of the month, and mostly people don't bring stuff to the agenda. So I thought it'd be good to have a standing item on our agenda to see if there's anything that Archives Work Group wants to bring. So is there anything that anybody can think of?
You can always put it in comments and we can add it later, or I
Yeah.
could,
Absolutely. Well, actually, I mean, maybe if there's nothing off the top of people's head, then don't worry about it. But we have got a link there to the rolling agenda for the workgroup sync calls. I mean, for me, one thing that I might just bring up in passing is when people add a document to a meeting summary, it's really helpful if in the title bit they put what it's actually called rather than what they think it ought to be called. It just feels like that would be useful. So I might just
yeah,
bring it up. I might add it to the rolling. And what single should actually be like and should cover. So there you can see the Google form that is doing the rounds at the moment, and I'd just like to nudge people to fill it in and say what you think a workgroup sync call should and shouldn't cover.
okay. And there's the form. Okay,
If you can drop that link into the chat, Stephen, just to nudge people.
okay, yeah.
Really good.
You know, we mentioned the actual name of any documentation that people are referring to. Yeah. Is that usually Google documents and things like that?
Yeah, there's
Okay.
a section on a meeting summary for you to add working documents, and I just think it's neater if people use what the document is actually named.
Okay. Okay. That's great. Okay. Shall I move on?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Um, Open source policy and culture. Policy development on AI ethics and open source. So again, Vanny.
Yeah, I mean, we've done some initial work on this in the past. I think it was quarter 3, and we've got a little bit, it's like 80 quid in this quarter's budget to be drafting stuff. So I will get to it when I get to it, and I'll be talking to you, Stephen, about some of the stuff that you've already done on open source
Yeah.
paradigm and policy. But yeah, what I'm looking at is how far the two are separate things and how far they connect. I'm feeling that obviously they do connect, but I think it would probably be clearer to have an open source policy and an AI ethics policy, and it's specifically about how these things relate to record keeping.
Yeah, I suppose an example of that might be like transparency issues as well. So, you know, so yeah. but that's great. So as you say, we need to talk about that, and
Yeah, and there's
yeah,
there's nothing to really say. I'm just the
yeah,
fact that it is on the budget and it's there and it's something that we're going to do in Q1 at some
great,
point.
great. Okay, developing a skilled documenters team.
Now, this is something that we put on the budget and said we would only do if the token price in January was above, well above what it was, because as people know, budgets were put in at an exchange rate of 55 cents. So it's kind of looking like maybe we'll be able to, but I just wanted to flag up that it probably will be something that we will do. And the idea behind it is, rather than having like some kind of new work group, it's more a team that goes across the entire program. So we'd be liaising with each work group and kind of going, okay, who in your work group is a solid documenter? It's kind of like the same approach as marketing is taking to things like the content calendar, where there's people in each work group who can do that. The reason behind it is just that we were finding that a lot of documentation is not an entry-level task, and people were struggling, and it was taking a lot of my time to correct things. So we can't enforce it. We can't say to people, you can't use somebody who is not on the skilled documenters team to document your meetings, but we can advise and we can sort of look at, with the work that was done in previous quarters around good meeting summaries, we can look back at that. And I think what I'm suggesting, even though it's assigned to me at the moment, I'm suggesting going to the people who did that, which was Clement, Lord Kissy, and Asukra, and kind of, yeah, maybe you would end up being the team that looks at who should be on this team and liaises with work groups to see if they're happy with that. Maybe eventually it would be like a Discord tag that people have, documenter or whatever. But yeah, I'm not convinced yet that we solidly have the budget to do it, but hopefully we do.
Is that because of price fluctuations, Vanessa?
Yeah, I just feel like it's high enough now, but it might not be next week.
Yeah, and it's quite a volatile period at the moment, as you bet.
Exactly.
So yeah.
So I feel like we
Okay.
should assess it. I don't think it's going to take longer than a month to do that work, so we should assess it next month.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly, because we
yeah,
don't know.
it is similar to the good meeting summaries thing. So I think we'd look at that and we'd look at the work that you did on that to kind of start defining how we choose and who should be on that list, and then it'd be a matter of liaising with the different work groups and going, is there anyone else that you have that you think should be on there?
Great. Okay.
Oh, but
Yeah.
also just to say that whoever is on that team of skilled documenters could be the people that we work with to kind of publicize any changes that have been made in the meeting summary tool as we constantly, improve it, rather
That's
than trying to train everyone on something they might never.
yeah. This another thing that this team can also be involved in is, remember we said we might don't want to say generalize, but we might want to change the templates again or update the templates. Maybe
Yeah,
when we get
definitely.
this team together, they can help with that as well.
Well, our usability and things like that, Andre.
Oh, well, just to take lessons we've learned from the
Okay.
past year and just make improvements
Okay. That's good.
and templates.
Okay. Okay. Moving on. I've just muted myself. To where we're going now. We have some archive GitBook issues. I'll start
I
in
sort of feel like
July.
we can skip all of them because all
Right.
I need to do, because I've approved a shed load of meeting summaries recently and I just need to tick them off, and then I think most of them can be closed apart from Actually, November doesn't look too bad, but if you can just open it and refresh my memory, I think there's not that many that we're waiting for. Oh, actually, there is a few. Okay. And obviously December is not there yet, so we're going to be chasing a few of those, but December's a very short month anyway, so yeah.
Okay.
So I'll get those up to date in the next like week or two, and then we can hopefully close them all. Woohoo!
Great. Great. Thanks, Valley. Okay, so moving on to taxonomy project.
Oh, I feel like I'm talking a lot in this meeting, but
I'm sorry.
yeah,
Um,
people know about the taxonomy project, and we've got a list of deduped tags, both emotions and topic tags, which is a little out of date now. So I know that, Andre, you can export a list of tags. You've done it for me before, and I'm thinking like maybe we need to redo that. In the last meeting, we discussed the idea that maybe it's not that useful after all to have a complete control vocabulary on this, because the drop down would be huge. And there is a significant difference between kind of, the way somebody words something, tells you something. So I wouldn't want to be too prescriptive, and I've thought about this since December, and what I'm feeling is that I want to leave it slightly different to how we've got the names tags. I think it's useful to have that as a controlled vocab, but it's not particularly useful to have topic and emotion tags as a completely tightly controlled vocab. However, it is good to still have, you start typing it and some suggestions come up. So what I think I need to do with sit down with Andre, with you, and do is the issues with deduplication were basically things like misspellings, or one version having a capital letter and one not, or American spellings versus British spellings. We need to just tighten that up so that what comes up as a suggestion is what we want to come up. But I'm thinking, should we still have this process like we've got for the names, where if somebody adds a new tag, we bring it to a meeting and just go, do we need that tag? Or do we just have it, people can add whatever tags they want?
Maybe it can be slightly different where we just clean up once a month. So they all get added all the time.
Mm.
And then we know we can delete this, delete that.
Yeah.
as a kind of footnote to this, I'll be good to start thinking about the composability of the data that we collect. So what I mean by that is, as we move towards some querying of this data using graph databases, we could then separate out different contexts. So, for example, we could create a separate. We need to go into this slowly. Yes, you're collecting data from the dashboard, and that needs to continue. But there's going to be a need very shortly for use cases. So one use case could be like, let's create a tag taxonomy and create that as a kind of layer which we put on top of our base data.
Yeah.
And then we can then use that as an educational tool as well, because then we could say, can you come along to this? Can you help us design a conceptual layer using these tags that sits on top of the base layer? So I'll just put that out there.
I mean, in a way, it kind of does that anyway.
Yeah.
In a completely conceptually different way. It does that in terms of how it works as just simple database queries, but yeah, all the more so if we're using a graph structure.
Yeah.
I think actually we also maybe need to see how it works with a graph structure and
Yeah.
kind of see, my feeling that there is a semantic difference in terms, if you have two tags that are actually quite similar, good-natured versus friendly. People chose those for a reason, and it does imply that there's a slightly different feel to the two. if it introduces any significant differences in terms of queries. And then maybe if it doesn't, we do need to just rationalize it. But you know,
Yeah. I mean,
I
there
don't
may
want to constrain people.
there may be ways. I mean, again, this is early days. But let's say we took a snapshot of tags, just tags, and as you say, there may be similarities between different terms. And if we put that into a graph schema, then we can interface that with sort of large language models or generative aspects to find proximities, semantic proximities. And before we commit to those semantic proximities, we can visualize that in a graph. So we can see, okay,
Exactly.
so if we say, okay, this feeling good to not feeling bad or something, how proximate are these records of
Yeah.
tag? Well, how near are these tags to each other?
Yeah.
And
I mean,
yeah,
you know, to me, this seems like it could become quite complex research because you can't expect an LLM or generative AI to understand how proximal they are because they don't really understand language on that kind of level.
yeah, but
And
yeah, I mean, also you could, I mean, again, we can get people to actually do it themselves, not an LLM. So
no, I know, but what I'm thinking is, you know, imagine like the work we did on the tag taxonomy project, people actually had a look at some of the meetings and tried to see if there was additional tags that should be added, both in terms of topic and in terms of emotion. But I don't know if what we'd want to do is research what kind of query responses we get from using whatever tagging we've got and see if it's accurate.
hmm,
You know, if something is tagged as friendly and then you go and look at that meeting, does it come across as friendly to you? You know, it would be interesting to see that. It's obviously much easier with topic tags, but I find that I tag much more thoroughly than a lot of people do. And when I see a meeting summary, quite often I will see 2 tags about what was discussed, and 20 things were discussed. And it's just
hmm.
like, oh, come on. You know, because if you know, eventually, if people want to query the archives to say, okay, when was workgroup reserves discussed and where, it won't find it if it's not tagged, will it?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because again, a slight shift in thinking is what we are can move towards is thinking of things in terms of queries, but taking queries and taking and rather than thinking of them as queries, thinking them as additional data sets. So queries become data themselves. So sort of another way of putting that is the sort of questions that people may ask or the sort of tags they may apply is actually its own entity. And then if we can allow people to visualize that, then they can see maybe relationships between different meanings, if you like, or different things and tags, rather than just queries as such.
Exactly. This is why I'm thinking that the whole deduplication kind of process is not that useful because, yeah, we can use it as a way to structure the data to say, yes, there's a relationship here or no, there isn't. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Okay, where are we going? Check for any. Let's just open my computer. Okay. Check for any new names, tags to be added to control vocabulary. Is this more leading on
It's
from
kind
that,
of
Fanny?
what we were just talking about. I just thought it'd be useful to create an issue for it so that every meeting we do look.
Okay, that's great. And it's there. So,
And I think, you know, what we could add there is that, yeah, Andre has updated some new names that have been added.
Yep, I can add it. Oh, you busy?
Okay.
okay, is that right, Andre?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, edit that if I'm happy if you want more details there. But I'll put that there for the moment.
And
And like, I guess like normally this would be an opportunity to bring any new tags that have been used in a meeting summary and go, is this legit? So have there been any that you're kind of like, is this a real, is this a different person from that person?
yeah, I didn't export. I forgot about this, so I think I need to bring the exports.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just be better prepared for the next time this issue comes up. I totally
Yeah.
forgot about this issue.
Oh, it's fine. Oh God, there was one. We'll come back to it actually, so we don't hold up the meeting. I'll find the document, the list of new, the list of archived names. There was a couple where I was just like, is this a different person? And somebody here might know, so I'll just bring it up. But yeah, carry on, and we'll.
Okay. I'll notes there. We'll move on to the next issue. Okay, the last one is the ambassadors book updates. Okay, my internet's a bit slow, I think.
Yeah, I think
Can
that's
people hear me?
that's just Sukra's not here, is she? I don't think so. No. So that's just her like ongoing task to keep the Ambassador GitBook updated. So she'll be doing
Okay, and
she'll
so
be adding like quarter 1 budgets and reports as and when, and it's just due at the end of the quarter. Oh, actually,
okay,
no, it's due at the end of the month. I think we said she'd do it by the So yeah, we'll
okay,
look at it in the next meeting.
cool. Okay. I think that's it. Oops. So I'll stop sharing. Unless have I missed anything, Vanny, or anything you need to discuss?
No, but I just did find that name. If there's anybody here from African Guild, I noticed there was somebody documented called Bethel Akpo, but it was only once, and I just wondered if they are active in, should we add them? Does anyone know?
If anyone does know, let us know through Discord or through chat here, or underneath that issue. Okay. If there's no thanks. Okay, thanks, Clement. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'll stop or stop recording. Is it me to stop recording? I suppose, yeah. And thanks
No, I
everyone
think
for
it's
coming.
me, isn't it?
Okay, if you could stop recording. Thanks everyone.